Hello, everyone. Welcome to another really silly, really ridiculous April Fool's episode. My name is Max. I'm joined, of course, by my wonderful co stars, Will, Beth, and Mark. And I think that this year we've really outdone ourselves. Um, we've been working really hard on this special. Does anyone want to talk about the character they prepared for this? Oh, I should tell you the name. It's called The Ides of Yesterday. I'm going to be playing Ida Yesterday.
I'm playing Blurmit Frog Log.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing Dude Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm actually
Will
going to be
is the
playing Tempest.
who's
Oh,
wait who's
really?
who's DMing? I thought Will was DMing.
Yeah, I thought you were too.
Yeah, I'm playing
As Tempest? Oh no.
It's going to be
You
really
know,
good.
I mean, like, it makes sense though, because the name of the segment, and then
The three of you are surrounded by a deep, dark emptiness. Your very senses unravel before you. Phoebe, Atticus, Cornelius. There's nothing for as long as you can possibly remember. And then a voice echoes, raging in your head. It asks a question, and as it does, your senses are bombarded like a foghorn. The question asks, who are you? Atticus. The scene before your very eyes shifts. You find yourself on the fifth floor of an unfinished skyscraper. It's a location you know very well. Despite your best intentions, you can't fight the urges, your body moving as it remembers, reliving this terrible day. Joining you on this fifth floor is your brother, Anderson. He's holding a briefcase, and he turns and says, "This is what we came for?"
Yes, I don't know. You set this up, not me.
I know, it's supposed to be some kind of thing, but he lifts the briefcase and says, "It's light. I don't think there's, like, cash in this or anything. I
Should we
don't
open
know."
it?
No, 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 no. We'd get in a lot of trouble, sis, if we opened this.
Wouldn't be the first time, but fine. All right. Well, what do you want to do?
We have about 15 minutes until the ride gets here. Tobert will come pick us up, but I don't know. He gazes out over the city and says, "It's quite a view."
It is. It'd be a better view if it had some fucking walls.
Well, those come, but in the meantime, this place serves our purposes flawlessly. And he sits on the ground, legs dangling over the side, and says, "You want to come too?"
Yeah, she sits next to him, like pretty close.
What would you do if we weren't doing this?
I think I'd want a model.
Model?
Isn't that weird? I know,
Yes.
isn't that weird?
Very weird.
It just, I don't know, there's something about getting out there and seeing places and meeting people that just seems so exciting without all the danger to, have to keep us in a place like this.
You don't like people.
Yeah, well, I'm here, aren't I? It's just a weird, stupid dream.
I never
What
knew
would you
that
do?
about you. What would I do? I don't know. I don't know if I... You know what I'd like to do?
What's that?
I'd want to be a leader. And not like some kind of like politician or, well, yes, a politician, but not a politician. You know, do things my way, the right way, and not worry about bureaucracy or the way things are supposed to be. We spent so long wondering or thinking that this is how things are, but we make the rules. There's no right way or wrong way to do anything, really.
Yeah, there's just, the way. I mean, human morality is decided by humans. That's
Exactly.
just the nature of things. But if you want to be a leader where you don't have to follow the rules of the government, then I'm gonna say you're probably in the right uh, occupation, bro.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Definitely.
We don't always have to be here, right? I mean, we're here. We're not going anywhere, but I mean, it's you and me in this for life, but it doesn't always have to be here, you know?
You remember Tommy, uh, when we were little,
Mm-hmm.
and how he stopped coming around when we were like 8 or 9?
Oh, I thought that's because I threatened to beat him up a lot.
No, Atticus, he tried to get out.
Oh.
And it wasn't because you tried to beat up someone 30 years your senior. It was, uh, it's fine for us to talk about that up here, but I'd be careful, sis, you know?
I'm not going to say anything to anyone. I don't trust anyone like I trust you, Anderson. I'm not going to run my mouth to the wrong guy. I know the rules. I know the ropes, but I'm sometimes I'm just worried that this is it for us. And even if that's the case, in a job like this, it could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be 50 years from now. I'm just nervous that one of us is going to end up alone.
Well, I tell you what, let's be thankful that we're getting some pretty easy work with this here briefcase, and you know, we keep our noses clean. I think we'll be just fine.
All right, whatever you say.
At this moment, uh, you hear the sound of tires screeching, and a black sedan pulls into the construction site. 4 men stand up out of the car and begin walking towards the building, and you can see glinting in the street lights. They're all carrying weapons. And Anderson looks down and says, "Oh fuck! Oh shit! What the fuck?"
That's not Tobert.
No, it's not. Okay. And he watches them split up into 2 directions and head up the stairs of the construction site. And he says, "Fuck! Fuck! You got your weapon?"
He pulls out a gun. She's like, always.
He pulls out one too and says, "Okay. I'm gonna try and take the ones on the left. You take the ones on the right. Okay?"
Okay, meet back here.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Love you, sis.
Love you too. She takes off.
Okay, Atticus. You race towards the east side of the building. And what do you want to do?
Okay, so I know they're coming up the stairwell, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to position myself behind some kind of like steel beam or any kind of like wall where I can still keep an eye on the stairs, but I have like solid cover in case they just start open firing.
Okay.
But from my position, I can also ideally shoot at them as they're coming out of the stairwell.
Okay, very good. So you see, or you hear first, 2 pairs of footsteps making their way up the stairs.
Okay, I crouch down so I'm a smaller target. And can I ready myself to I guess like get ready to shoot? Because I'm not gonna shoot as soon as they bust out. Um, but I want to be able to in case it's like, oh yeah, you definitely have to shoot these guys.
Okay, yep. Your 2 targets arrive at the top of the stairs, and you can hear them muttering something. It's weird. They sound extremely muffled, but one of them gives a shout, and they split, one to the left, one to the right. The left one is closer to you.
Okay, I'm peering at him. Can I notice anything about why he would be muffled?
Uh, so you see that he is wearing a black ski mask.
Okay, I'd like to shoot at him, but I don't want to aim to kill immediately. I'd like to shoot for like one of his legs, just to take him out.
Okay, sure. Go ahead and roll for it.
All right, that is a 30, and that is a success.
Okay, so you aim and you fire. The gunshot echoes through the building, and you get the man in the leg, and he goes, "Wah!" and falls to the ground, looking at you, and says, "Where's the briefcase?"
She's just holding her gun to him, and or like from her vantage point, she's just pointing at him, but she hasn't said anything.
Okay. He falls a little further now, trying to get off of his bad leg, and says, "Lady, you have no idea what that thing is."
He just says, "Kick your gun over here."
As you say that, you hear your brother, and you hear him scream, "Look out!" And you feel a few things, Atticus. You feel your brother tackling you, and as you both fall to the ground, you hear your brother scream louder than you've ever heard before. And the weight that's pushing you down feels lighter somehow. And as you both collapse in a corner of the skyscraper, Atticus, you see the blood. Blood pouring out of Anderson's leg, or half of his leg. The other half, sprawled across the other side of the skyscraper, has been cleanly cut in half by one of the other masked men brandishing an axe.
In a state of horror and shock, she can't even look at Anderson right now. She's just staring at the man that just sliced his leg off. Is he approaching?
Oh yes, he's walking towards you.
He raises the gun and she would like to shoot him clean in the head.
Oh yeah. And you're close, you're on the ground, and I'm sure adrenaline is pumping, so you can take 2 bonus dice.
All right, I got a hard success.
Great. You shoot this man in the head, and he stops. The axe falls out of his hand, and he too collapses on the ground, lifeless. The other man who you shot in the leg says, "Listen, lady, you gotta give us that briefcase now!"
She points her gun at him, her eyes unblinking, unseeing. It's just survival. And she shoots him too.
Okay, I'll have you make the same roll.
Okay. Oh, hell yeah! All right, I got that as an extreme success. I got a 2.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay, yep, that man dies. Anderson begins grabbing your shirt, covering you in blood, muttering almost wordlessly, "We gotta go. The briefcase."
He turns and it's like seeing for the first time the blood drains out of her face and she collapses on her shaky knees as she starts trying to apply pressure to his gaping legless wound. Where's the briefcase? Fuck the briefcase. We gotta get you to a hospital.
We have to get it. Atticus.
Where did you put it?
He raises a shaking hand and points pretty close to where you guys were sitting, just what feels like an eternity ago.
She runs, stumbling, tripping, just like scraping everything against the floor, against the walls, whatever, just scrambles over, grabs the briefcase, and attempts to scramble back to her brother while trying to call Tobert and failing helplessly.
Okay, so as you get back to your brother, you successfully dial him in here. "Hey, what's up? Almost there."
No, we have to go to the hospital. They
What?
just cut off Anderson's leg.
What?
They cut. It's bleeding. You have to get here now, Tobert.
You hear Tobert slam on the gas, and he says, "I will be there in 2 minutes. Be at the entrance, quick."
Okay, and she drops her. No, she does not drop her phone. She puts it back in her pocket. She gags and grabs his fucking leg off the floor before undoing Anderson's belt from his pants and attempting to tourniquet uh, his stump just to try and stop some bleeding.
Okay. Your brother screams again in pain. What do you do to help him down the stairs?
I would like to roll strength to just heft him onto my back in this state of supreme adrenaline and just carry him down the stairs on my back with the briefcase and his leg.
Okay, go ahead.
I got a 6,
Why
which is
am
an
I even
extreme
surprised?
success.
I'm not surprised. You grab him, the briefcase, the leg, and you haul his ass down the stairs. As you are just about to hit the first landing, you hear Anderson mutter something weird. He says, Fur.
Fur?
There's fur. Atticus. And then he falls into unconsciousness.
I'm gonna ignore him because I'm just gonna assume that he's delirious, and as I keep racing down the stairs.
Okay, so you do that. You get to the bottom as Tobert pulls up, and he gets out and says, "What the fuck happened?"
Got ambushed. There was 4 guys. I killed 2 of them. I don't know what happened to the other 2, but they fucking cut his leg off.
Oh my god, get him in the back, quick!
She puts him in the back and climbs in with him, still trying to put as much pressure on his leg as possible.
Okay, the 3 of you drive to the hospital. That evening, Anderson Rivers would forever lose his left leg. The cut rendered the surgeons unable to accurately and properly reattach it. Anderson would spend the next 2 weeks in the hospital. Did you visit him every day?
Every day.
On the second day, Anderson regained consciousness. And as you come in, he gives you a very weak smile.
He rushes him and, as gently as possible, tries to give him some kind of hug.
Okay, yeah, you give him an awkward hug, and he says, "You saved my life."
You saved my life. Don't do that. We can't do that again, Anderson.
I'll say, "I gotta call the briefcase. We can't collect the money, Atticus. It's too hot. Police, they swarmed that whole scene. We're stuck with it. Whatever's in there."
I don't fucking care. We'll hide it. We'll give it to Tobert. Have him toss it in a fucking sewer. I don't care at this point.
He grabs you with surprising strength and he says, "Bring it to me, Atticus."
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll go get it.
And do you?
I do.
Okay. You bring it back, this ratty, tattered briefcase, stained with blood, and Anderson, with shaking fingers, opens it. And inside, the 2 of you stare together at a book. And Anderson turns to you and he says, "This was it."
So you and I went through all of that for some fucking book? Some fucking book?
His eyes look lifeless as he reaches in and limply grabs it and opens the first page and says, It's a diary, Atticus. It's a fucking diary."
I really hope it was fucking worth it. And she kicks the bedside table.
Okay. A nurse rushes in and says, "Everything okay?"
Yeah, everything's fine. Sorry, just a little sibling argument over, some possessions. We're all good. Could you give us some privacy, please?
"Oh, you kids." And she closes the door.
Atticus locks it, if possible.
Okay. He flips through it, not really paying too much attention, and says, "It's from the The 40s, the 50s. This thing goes on and on for like 20 fucking years.
Or anything in there? Anything actually? Anything worth it?
He looks at you and says, I need to be alone.
Okay. He shakily just leaves the room and kind of just sits outside the door, just
Okay.
kind of staring into nothing.
On the fourth day, Anderson Rivers says, Did you see those men? There was something weird about them, Atticus.
I don't remember what they looked like, Anderson.
Well, that's the thing. They all had black ski masks over their faces. Weird, right? Did you hear any of them talk? It sounded muffled. Really, really muffled. I swear, Atticus, you're not going to believe me. But I saw something. As we were running away, as you were carrying me on your back. I saw white fur sticking out of the man's face.
Fur? You did say that. You said you saw fur while we were running. I just thought you were, dying.
There was something there. I don't know what it was. I don't know what I saw, but it was something.
Are you sure it wasn't just his beard, maybe?
No, you shot him in the forehead.
And there was fur?
There was fur sticking out of it, but that's not the only weird thing. And at this point, he holds up the journal. And he says, This book chronicles the life of a man in some rat hole town called Cincinnati, Connecticut.
Okay. And what does that have to do with fur?
I don't know yet. But listen, there's something weird about this. This man, he complains about a curse. He says his whole family has been cursed into leading this town. They can't stop getting elected mayor.
Are you sure you said this was from like the 40s, right? Are you sure this guy wasn't just on some super drug?
That's what I thought at first, but then I kept looking into it. There's something weird going on here, Atticus.
Okay. What do you want me to do?
I don't know yet. I don't know. I need more time.
Well, you said yourself the book's hot, right? We're not doing anything with it. What? Listen, I will help however I can, but are you really sure you want to poke your nose into this?
He gives you one of the most determined looks you've ever seen from him, and he says, There is nothing I would rather do than get to the bottom of this. By the 8th day, a large whiteboard has been erected in his room at his request, and covering it are pictures of people from the last century. Lines pull them together. His mannerisms become more and more frantic. As you come to visit him, he says, Did you know in 1967, Cincinnati elected a 3-year-old?
Atticus, in the past 8 days, has gone from a fierce young woman to what looks like a shell of her former self. Her cheeks gaunt, her eyes dark, her skin's pale. Every time she comes and talks to Anderson and just drones on about this god-forsaken mystery of his, she just looks lost. And as he's going on about some 3-year-old mayor, it finally hits her. She can't do this. And she just stares at him.
On the last day of Anderson Rivers' hospital visit, he's outfitted with a prosthetic leg that allows him to walk with some stability. It's a hard plastic, and he stands up shakily, gripping you for support, and says, I need you to do something for me.
Anderson, I need you to do something. I want out, Anderson.
You want out?
I want out. Can't do this.
He looks at you. For a moment, there's pity, sorrow. But then his expression hardens, and he says, "Fine. If you want out, I'll get you out. I'll make sure that you never have to do anything for the mob for me again. But I need you to do one more thing, Atticus."
Okay. Whatever you want, Anderson. I'll do it.
There's a position recently opened up at the mayor's office in Sinsaba, that shitty backwater town. They need an archivist, someone to go through almost 100 years of records and convert it all into modern tech. Atticus, there's something very, very strange going on there. And if it is the last thing I do, I am going to figure out what. But I know you'll help me, right? After all, I saved your life. And you hear him knock 3 times on his plastic leg.
Atticus's eyes glaze over as she hears those 3 resounding knocks. And she says, "Sure. I'll solve your mystery, Anderson."
Cornelius, hot wind brushes your cheek. You hold a hand up to shield your face from the sun, and as you do, you catch a glimpse at the deep, dark tan you've accumulated. You don't remember exactly how you accumulated this tan, and as you look down, you see your clothes are tattered, as if you've been wearing them consistently for years. As you get more familiar with their surroundings, you see you're standing on a rock overlooking a beautiful sunset. Waves far off in the distance come crashing down, and water laps against the rock. You hear footsteps and turn to your right. You see Nancy standing next to you, and she says, I think we're the last ones, Cornelius.
What do you mean?
I think this is it." And she points off towards the horizon. She says, Look, you see? Just like they said. And it's strange, Cornelius, as you look out, the water almost seems to be evaporating far off at the horizon line, turning into nothingness. And Nancy says, I think it's all going to be over soon.
Damn. I just don't. How did we get here?
She looks at you, and she looks pained and very sad, and she says, You don't remember, huh?
I don't remember anything.
She lets out a very long sigh and says, It said that would happen. It said that we'd start to forget. Okay. And she sits at the edge of the rock and says, Come on, do you want to take a seat?
He sits down gingerly next to her.
She places her hand carefully on top of yours and says, You don't remember the last 3 years at all?
3 years? What?
It doesn't matter. Can I ask you something, Cornelius?
Sure.
How, how did it all happen? Your theme park, your demon deal? I never had a chance to ask you. It never seemed like the right time. But now there's nothing else left to really talk about.
Oh, well, I mean, it kind of just fell into place when I moved to town. Um, I got the farmhouse, and whoever had lived there beforehand, kind of, it almost seems like so many people leave their homes in such a hurry when they move out. There was so much stuff just everywhere when I moved in. There were boxes of papers and some old furniture, small things like end tables and side chairs that were just kind of dejectedly stuffed into corners and stuff. Um, when I finally got around to, obviously, when I was moving in, I cleaned up the best I could in the main areas, but some stuff just kind of got stuck into guest rooms for the time being. And I found that as I was going through everything, um, there was this weird consistency that I noticed with the papers where some of it was just like business work, like paperwork from someone's day job, and some of it was like kids' homework, but mixed into some of them were absolutely obscure notes and chicken scratch and mathematical problems, and it's not really something that you think is like important at all until you start picking up the little details in it. I never intended to read through it all, but it just kind of accidentally happened in the leisure time in the evening. Um, I don't I'm not certain who this person's name was. I only get little anytime there's a name written down, it's like torn, little scraps here and there. Um, so I've just kind of called them RB for the time being. But these notes were from like the 20s, like the 1920s. It was like a century old, which I thought was incredible. It's like a time capsule. They seemed in incredible condition considering they were there for a century. Um, but going through it all, it seemed like the writings of an absolute madman. It talks about rituals and the future of humanity and the betterment of society. But then it also talked about demons, and I thought that was so strange. Like, you have such lofty goals, but then you put the goals on something not real. And I kind of put it to the back of my mind for a while, but you read something like that and it kind of itches at the back of your mind. So I ended up looking up stuff online about demonology just for giggles. You do little deep dive, like rabbit hole searches, and you end up in a really peculiar place. And what I found there were actual consistencies with things that I was reading online with these writings from someone 100 years ago at this point. And that struck me as kind of weird. Um, I went through the notes again and I compared them to things that I saw online, and I figured maybe someone had found similar notes or someone in the past had written something similar. I just it was all so weird to me that it all kind of linked together. So I went to town, and some of the books that he had mentioned in his writings were still in the library. Um, I had I looked through them, and there were actually notes in a few of them. So I figured I would check out all of the ones that were still there that he had mentioned, and it added so much more to it, more context, more scientific data, if you can call it that, I suppose. Um, I still, the books are probably in my house somewhere. I don't think I ever returned them. Not that I think I ever could. The librarian at the time, when I went to check the books out, they said that they weren't even part of the library's archive, and honestly should have been purged at this point, but they just hadn't for some reason. So I have this assortment of books and the notes of what I thought were a a madman who'd gone off the deep end. I like some of the notes were written on work papers that the company titling was smell-o-vision, smell radio. I don't know, smell media. I Some of them were faded, so I'm not entirely certain what it was, but it really never was something that I set as a goal for myself. And looking back on it now, it's actually kind of stressful to think about. Um, I don't know why it it was all in pursuit of a farm, but I literally have one, and I don't know how everything got so out of hand so quickly.
You just, what, decided to go through with the research, summon one?
I mean, I figured like there wasn't any harm in trying. Like the worst that would happen is it doesn't do anything, and then I put that line of thought to rest and I go about my life. But
But it worked.
it did. And I was presented with an opportunity to have more than I did, and it just kind of ballooned wildly out of control from there.
Do you have any regrets?
Oh, of course I do. Like, if I could go back to that day, I don't think I would have made the deal. It's put way more on my plate than I ever needed to begin with. Like, I suppose I appreciate the people that I have met along the way, but it's also caused so many people grief in their life. Like, people went missing in the park, and if I just hadn't made the deal that I had, I, those people would still be here. Their families would still be with husbands, fathers, sisters, wives, mothers. I It eats me up at night sometimes, and it's it's a lot. I just I think if I could do that day over again, I probably wouldn't take the deal. It's a raw deal is what they give you. They don't You're just a means to an end for them, and uh, you if you can dodge them for long enough, you get to live out the rest of your natural life, but their entire vendetta is just to kill you in the end. So there's really no end goal to it.
I'm sorry. Uh, she looks off, and as she does, your eyes follow. You see that the water over the horizon is now about halfway gone. You stare off into bleak emptiness. And Nancy turns back to you and says, I gotta ask, why, did you pick the theme, Corn Utopia? Isn't that a little on the nose?
Well, I mean, kind of. It it was a bit of a joint effort, I guess. the demon that came forth was actually named in a very corn centric way and was very corn themed, which kind of was in line with the fact that I wanted a farm. It's a very common crop and a very easy crop to grow. Um, it was originally, I think, supposed to just be like a nature park, but it ended up being a farm-themed amusement park with heavy corn overtones. So, sort of, it was intended to be that way, but it kind of just happened to be, after a certain point, a corn park.
Huh. You know, for what it's worth, despite everything, despite regrets you might have, you, Phoebe, and Atticus still saved the world. You didn't die. You shut down a real danger to humanity.
I suppose. But really doesn't feel like that sometimes.
No, I wouldn't think so, but please don't sell yourself short by any means. You found a problem in your actions and you fixed it. You took the steps, you took the time, and you risked your life to do so.
Yeah, I guess you've got a point.
I really didn't think this day was going to come. It said it would, but I really had hope. Even as everyone else went away, lost their lives, I'm sorry, I know you don't remember any of this. But I hope you do.
He nods solemnly.
I don't think we have long. And again, she looks over and sees the approaching nothingness getting closer and closer. So she stands in front of you and says, "You and I are done. This whole world is done. But we can still do it. I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't care how long it takes. I know this can be accomplished. But I know you and I, we can find each other again, Cornelius."
Find each other? What do you mean?
Cornelius. Oh my god. You and I, we've been together for 2.5 years. It's been amazing. I know it sounds crazy, but whatever you do, just one of us needs to remember, and we can carry it over, and we can make it happen again. I know we can.
Carry it over to where?
Nancy looks panicked, and you realize why. It's her. She's starting to fade too. And she grabs you tightly on the shoulders and says, "Cornelius, whatever you do, just remember. Just remember." As she fades away. And you too begin to fade. And as you do, you forget. Hey everyone, it's Max here for your regularly scheduled ad break. What's up? Thank you so much for listening to the Ides of Yesterday. I just want to give such a big thank you to Will. Will, I really think, knocked it out of the park DMing this session. I mean, Blurmit is hilarious. The whole crew just really went above and beyond for this, and I'm so proud of them. So, to my castmates, thank you. I tell you what, I wouldn't want to miss this April Fool's special for anything. So the next episode is going to be the Bloodied Past finale. That is going to launch April 4th on our Patreon and April 11th on the main feed. After that, we are getting back into the main cast. You're finally going to hear from Atticus, Phoebe, and Cornelius again. Doesn't it feel like forever since you've heard from them? I think it does. But we are thrilled to be getting back into main story. Well, the Bloodied Past turned into main story. But, the main season 2 cast. If you're enjoying what you're listening to, I really hope you'll consider telling a friend. We don't pay to advertise this show. Our only way to travel is through your kindness. So I hope you'll consider telling a friend. If you want to support the show financially, we have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/tincast. Now, we just relaunched this like 2 weeks ago, and I could not be happier to announce that we have 4 critical success patrons. You guys are the absolute sweetest. We literally just came back, and to get this kind of support right off the gate is nothing short of amazing. So without further ado, I want to thank Mango, Morgan Wolbrandt, Amanda Krondar, and Emmy Lynn Laderna for supporting the show. Thank you all so much. Also, at the behest of Emmy Lynn, I would like to take a moment and remind everyone to drink some water right now. Pick up some water and drink it. I'm serious. I don't care if you don't do anything else for this entire ad break. Drink some water. Thank you. There are so many great ways to listen to the show, and we have some new ones. You can listen to the podcast now on YouTube, which is a good way to share episodes with friends. We're on Spotify now, so you can listen to us if you use Spotify. Other applications, I'm sure, you can find us on. But we do ask, if you do enjoy the show, maybe consider leaving us a rating or a review on the platform you're using. Hint, hint, Spotify, if you use it. We'd like some ratings on Spotify since we're brand new to the platform with like 100 and something episodes. Thank you. Now, I don't think I have that much else to say this week, except for one very important final message for you. Everything you hear today is canon. With that being said, let's get back into our really silly April Fool's episode. Hope you enjoy the rest of it, and we'll see you soon. Phoebe, you stand at the edge of apocalypse. Before you, the city lies in ruins. A red sky permeates every inch, every crevice. In the distance, you hear a low rumble as another building topples over. Behind you, you hear what sounds like a... And as you turn, there is a door, a white door, a plain white wooden door, hovering about 3 feet off the ground.
I guess as my only reprieve, I go open the door.
Okay. Yep, you open the door, and standing in the doorway is just the most generic looking man you've ever seen. He's about 5'9". He's wearing a striped button down. He has a belt on and some black khakis, and he says, "Well, hello there. Would you like to come in?"
Yeah, sure. Phoebe takes a step in through the door.
Okay. You enter into this man's apparent very nice house. You're standing in the entryway. There's some stairs to your left, and a decently sized hallway directly in front of you. You can see 2 doors on the right. In between them are lined with photos, and past them is the kitchen. You can hear something sizzling on a pan, and the man says, come in, take your shoes off."
Phoebe kicks off her sneakers. Where does the man go?
He's walking down the hallway towards the kitchen.
Okay, I follow him.
Okay. He stops in between the 2 doors and points to a photo and says, "What do you think about that?" And you look and you see a man dressed in an army uniform, surrounded by other people in army uniforms. and it looks like there's a great deal of camaraderie going on there.
I don't have any strong feelings towards that. Why do
He,
you ask?
he nods knowingly and says, "Just curious. That was a dear old dad back in Vietnam, actually, if you can believe that."
Your dad?
My dad, yep.
Interesting.
Here, come on. Let me get you into the kitchen, shall we? And
Okay.
he pokes his head into the kitchen and says, "Honey, we have a guest." And as you enter, there is a very normal looking woman in a polka dot dress, and she turns around and says, "Phoebe, I'm so glad you could make it."
Me too. Where am I exactly?
The man smiles and says, "You're very funny, Phoebe. This is my home. You're a guest here. Please take a seat at the table, would you?"
Okay. She pulls out a chair and sits down.
Okay. The woman says, "Phoebe, would you like a hot cocoa, some tea, perhaps?"
I'll take some hot cocoa.
She says, "Right away, with or without marshmallows."
Surprise me.
Oh, you. And she scurries off into another room. And the man says, "I'm really glad you could join us here."
Yeah, me too. Uh, Listen, I don't mean to sound rude or anything, but who are you?
Oh, my name is Tim Baker. That's my wife, Cheryl. Uh, we're the Baker family. My little girl, little Marissa, is upstairs. And actually, Marissa, would you come down? I think dinner's almost ready. And he turns back towards you and says, "Kids, you know."
Yeah, I do know. Have we met before?
Uh, Actually, Phoebe, as you say that, he turns very quickly, stares you dead in the eye, and says, "In a way." And then he shakes his head and he says, "So, listen, I actually had some stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. You've been in Cinsba for how many years now?
Quite a few now. I've lost count at this point, but it's been a while.
And your family, you and Griffin, your grandmother's from Cinsba, right?"
Yeah, we've got some I guess you could say lineage in Sinzaba.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Very good. Very good. So, of course, you are familiar with the boon, and he kind of taps his fingers and says, or the curse of those with lineage from Sensiba.
Yes, I am familiar with that.
He nods again and says, "So, what do you do exactly, Phoebe?"
Like, what do I do? Like work?
No, your gift.
She holds out her hand, and from her palm, uh, floating about an inch above her palm, is a small uh, red flame.
The man, the flame dancing in his eyes, says, "That's amazing. It's elemental. It's wonderful."
And how about you? Do you have lineage from Sinzaba?
Oh, yes, stretching back 8 generations before it was even Sinsaba. My okay, this is gonna sound really silly. And he walks over, grabs a glass from the cabinet, and starts filling it up with water from the fridge. And as he does, you notice it turn a deep dark red. And he says, "Water into wine." And no, before you ask, I'm not Jesus.
Wasn't gonna ask that. It sounded a little offensive, but yeah, I that's definitely an interesting gift.
It's all mutation or genetics, I don't really know. Not a scientist, never studied it. I work in an office. Corporate, if you can believe it.
Oh, I definitely doesn't strike me as odd.
He nods and says, "Come with me before dinner's ready. I want to show you something."
She gets up and pushes the chair back to where it was.
Okay. He leads you back down the hallway and over to the door closest to you. So it would be the one on the left.
Mhm.
And he says, "I want you to tell me what you see." And he opens it. And inside Phoebe, you see a younger you. And you see your brother and your mom and your dad. And the man asks, "Go on, what's in there?"
Home. It it looks like home.
"What was your home life like, Phoenix?"
Well, before my parents passed, home was great. It was an escape from an escape from reality. For a lack of better words, I had the perfect home life.
What happened, Phoenix, to your parents?
They they died when I was about 15 to a force that I still don't fully understand, and I don't want to ever understand.
Was it of this world, Phoenix? Or was it something magical?
You could definitely say it was magical.
He slams the door and says, "Very, very interesting. What happened, Phoenix? What sort of mystical, magical force rendered dear old mom and dad dead?"
Phoebe starts backing away to the door that she came from.
He says, "Oh, no, 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 sorry. Sorry. I didn't mean to get so up in arms. It happens sometimes. If you don't want to stay for dinner, Phoenix, I understand. But before you go, perhaps I could show you one more thing."
Sure, just don't push it, okay?
He flits his eyes to the other door, the one that you haven't opened yet. And he says, "Take a look inside."
Phoebe very, very hesitantly reaches for the doorknob and pushes the door open.
Okay. Before you is a warm summer day. Leaves rustle, and you see in the woods where this door leads is a cave. Something about it catches you as very familiar. And the man says, "Do you know what this cave is, Phoenix?"
I, f- I feel like I know this place. I can't put my finger on it, but I think I've been here before.
The scene shifts, and you hear the enthusiastic screams of children. And before you is now a doorway into Corn Utopia. And you watch the man, his wife, and a little girl walk by, enjoying the day. Uh, the little girl points, and you hear them indistinctly chatter about where she's pointing. The two of them, the wife and the daughter, head off towards that point, while Tim stays behind. And he turns and he walks over to a restroom. But before anything else can happen, as he steps in, there's a gurgling from the drain. He looks down in horror and sees something coming up. It's a mixture of some white, disgusting looking substance and hair. It wraps around his legs, and before he can even utter a scream, he is suffocated and killed by a squogert. His body lays lifeless on the floor as the squogert disappears. And slowly, very slowly, he too turns into one of those monsters, disappearing down into the drain. You watch in fear, paralyzed, as the scene shifts back to the cave. And now you can see yourself and Cornelius going squogert hunting. And the man closes the door and says, "Do you understand, Phoenix, what you've done?"
I'm and she's speechless.
"Do you understand what I am? I am the person you killed." And the man starts to morph into a squogert once again, towering over you. Phoenix, what do you do?
What happened? I'm gonna open that door that's next to me again.
Okay. You're back at the cave, or you can see the cave, rather.
Okay, I run for the cave.
Okay. You jump back out into this day. Who knows how long ago now? As Tim the Squogert roars and bursts through and says, "Phoenix!"
Oh fuck. Okay. And she okay, I guess she's gonna go. I don't know if it's a good idea, but she's gonna go to the cave. She's gonna go into the cave.
Okay. You go into the cave and it's narrow and small, just like you remember when you were there with Cornelius. And Squogert yogurt starts pouring down.
Like pouring down on me.
It's going to very shortly.
Oh no, that's okay. Would it? Do I still have time to? Okay, how far away is Tim Squogert away from? How far away is he from me?
I mean, he's like pretty close. We'll
Okay.
say the main Squogert is maybe like 15 feet away.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Phoebe, very briefly, I don't know if she would have anything, but she checks her pockets. Does she have anything with her?
You see your wings tattered and looking like they've been on your person for years now.
Okay. I'm gonna throw those wings on, and I'm gonna try to fly back out of the cave over Twogert.
Twogert?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have you roll dodge then.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. I did fail.
Okay. Then as you try to fly over him, he grabs you with a squoggerty tendril and pulls you to the ground hard. And I'm gonna have you take 3 damage, although that's kind of just relative to this.
Ow.
And Tim Squogert is gonna try and whack you again.
Okay. Forgot how combat works. Can I try to counterattack?
Of course you can. What do you want to do?
So he's gonna like womp me.
He's about to. Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to like maneuver out of the way and kick him.
Okay. Yep. So that'll be an unarmed strike.
Okay. Okay, that one was a hard success.
Okay, I failed. So, as he brings the tendril down, you get free of his clutches and you kick into the squoggerty mass. And despite your foot kind of like squelching on impact and just kind of sinking in, it seems like it's done significant damage. And the Squogger reels back.
Okay. Now, does this give me an opportunity to fly back to the door?
Oh, it sure does.
All right, I'm gonna fly back to that door, and if I have enough time, I'm gonna slam it shut behind me.
Okay, you do that. And you hear one last "Brrr" as the door closes.
Oh, okay. That was not fun. Um, she's gonna take a look around. Has the house is the house still there?
Yep, everything is just how you left it. And in fact, you see Cheryl in the doorway and says, "Oh dear, how did that go, Phoenix?"
That uh hey, listen, I know who you are. Oh, can you answer a question for me?
Oh, of course.
Why am I here?
Uh, as you say that, the woman's head twitches, almost unnaturally, and she says, we, here for tea, offering you, something. They're, magic, family. Uh, Phoenix, what killed your parents?
Why you guys really want to know? Why don't why don't you sit down?
Cheryl does, almost robotically at this point.
I will tell you how my parents were killed. But once I tell you, can I leave?
The woman smiles unnaturally and says, "Of course, this is the end."
Okay. My parents were killed. I'm sure you overheard me talking to Tim by something that I still don't understand to this day. It's been so many years. And when I was younger, I tried to understand, but I just, I gave up. From what I saw, from what Griffin and I saw, we were there when it happened. And sorry, I, it's just really hard to talk about. They were killed by me.
The woman's eyes widen and she says, "Can you elaborate?"
Yeah, I I was 15 and I knew about my lineage from Sinzaba and I knew what that meant. I knew that there was something different about this town, about the people that came from it. But I didn't understand the extent. And one day, Griffin and I were. He was trying to show me how to use my curse, my powers, and things got out of hand. Literally. My parents' room was engulfed in flames by the times we realized what had happened. And there was no stopping it. And what were we supposed to say? I was a kid and Griffin was trying to protect me. The police thought it was an electrical fire, a candle. They couldn't quite place their finger, but I know that I killed them. I tried to use my powers, and it was a lot more than I thought. And honestly, Griffin and I were lucky that we got out alive.
Phoenix, I'm so sorry that this has happened to you.
Yeah,
sh-
me too.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go for it.
On a scale of 1 to 100, how likely do you think the chances are of another event such as this happening? Do you feel in control?
No, I've never felt in control.
The woman once again smiles, and it almost seems wider than her face, and she says, "A wild card. I think you will do just fine." Phoebe, light blinds your eyes, and you feel your feet touch soft sand.
All right. So, well, very silliness that happened today. God, I really do hope that Blurmit isn't too on the nose. But I hope you guys had fun today. And I kind of love DMing, and I would love to do it again sometime.
Will,
You
you did
should.
such a good job.
That was really great.
This was
It was
amazing.
really fun.
I would feel so bad if anyone didn't get a chance to listen to this.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that
And
would
this-
kind of suck.
No offense, Max. Like, I think you're a really good DM. But Will, I honestly think that you were like born to tell stories.
Absolutely. I just hope
sign
Blurmit
my
makes it out of
petition.
jail.
Sign my
Yeah.
petition to have Will be the permanent DM.
Okay, yeah, you can find it.
Let me give you guys a spoiler. Blurmit ain't never get out of prison. What that man did is unspeakable, and we all know it.
a true crime against humanity for sure. Can you
She's
unshred
gonna
it?
shred it.
Beth, you don't have a reverse shredder?
Let me just put it through my butt.
Ew. I hope that's not how you can unshred things.
You don't know the wonders of my butt.
You know I'm recording this whole thing, right?
No!
April Fools.
April Fools, my butt can unshred things.